The oh, smile, there we are. Well, hello there, Empowered Soul Network team. Again, a wonderful sunny afternoon after the amazing eclipse yesterday. I still can't get over that. That was just astonishing. We had about 85% totality here in Des Moines, Iowa, and I had a daughter, Crystal, that was in Cleveland, and she said it was absolutely extraordinary. So, Cindy, you and I get to continue that energy, that connection. And I'm so happy, everybody. We've got Cindy Strong here calling in from Portland, Oregon. She's a social media marketing manager, and we'll find out exactly what that can mean to all of us. But first, I want to welcome you, Cindy, and share more about yourself, but in particular, what's been so inspiring to you of late?
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much for that introduction. And I didn't, yeah, I'm over here on the West Coast, who didn't see the eclipse so much like you did back east. So yeah, kind of passed us over to see pictures. So that was amazing. But something that, you get to, I don't know, experience in a lifetime. It's kind of monumental, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah. So I am a social media marketing manager. Now that is a pivot. So that is not what I've always been.
Yeah, you came from just being a hairstylist, right? In a salon. Wow, that
Yeah.
is what transpired? What was happening back then that was your journey that kind of carried you forward to today?
Well, I never thought I would ever do anything but hair. I was a salon owner, manager, mentor, an educator. I did it all. Uh, Mostly I loved people. I loved helping them. When I was really young, I had the choice to either be a nurse, I could go to nursing school, or I could go to beauty school. And my husband at the time, he says, "Well, you better figure out what you want to do because, we only have X amount of time for you to go to school." So I went and I followed a nurse around one day and I just went, "Oh, no, 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 I can't do this. No." I mean, there's like blood and there's all kinds of stuff. I just wasn't into it. And besides the fact that, you're with people that were sick and upset, and I just wasn't my thing. And then I followed a hairdresser around and sat with her all day one day, and I said, "Oh, this is exactly what I want to do." So I went to beauty school way back when, and I never stopped. I never looked back. But back then, learning was a lot different than it is today. I mean, you can probably attest to that. What do we do when we learn something? We Google it. There's YouTube. There's everything that's out there. I mean, all you got to do is scroll on TikTok, and you can find out how to do a lot of things. They can show you how to do recipes, all kinds of stuff, right? So
Yeah,
yeah.
so when you were engaged in the finding that purpose as going into beauty school, am I reading it right? What drove you there was just this sense of kind of almost like a happiness that you felt going there. Is that a clue for people finding their life purpose, finding their? Could you speak to that?
Oh, absolutely. I think that you really have to go with what you love. And there's people out there that say, "Oh, I hate my job. I hate my job." I didn't ever say that, not one day. And I remember my father told me this a long time ago. He says, "If you don't do something you love, you will never work a day in your life." I'm sure he heard that from somebody else. I can't remember who, but I listened to my father and I'm like, "You are so right." Because he's 87 years old. He has been an aircraft mechanic since he was 16 years old. He still does that to this day, still owns his own business and still goes to work every day because it's something that he loves. And, you know, that's what I thought I was going to do for the rest of my life. But as luck would have it, it didn't quite happen that way. However, I found something else that I truly love, and it's still working with people. And that was the one thing that I love to work with people. Now, there are people out there, and I I'm happy for that. There are people out there that don't like to work directly with people. They're maybe a little more shy, or they don't really like that. They like to just be on their own. I need the energy from people, even if it's through a Zoom call. I need that energy. I need that spark, that whatever it takes, to see the smile on people's faces and to see them happy. And that's why I loved doing hair. Because when you could take somebody that came crawling in, they were upset about whatever was going on in their life, and then when they leave, they're happy. They can go to the store, they look fabulous, they feel energized, and they would tell me, "Thank you so much for today. This was amazing." So
So can you dive a little deeper for me on that? What is it? You get a lot of energy from people. It's great to see them. But what else is it about people that really impassioned you?
what? No, I love to hear about their lifestyles. I love to, what was great is being a hairdresser, I worked behind the chair. I did many hours a day, many hours a week. And a lot of my clients would come in, especially before they went on a trip, on a cruise, on a trip, on, overseas, whatever it was. And I got to live vicariously through my clients. I would say, "Oh, you got to bring pictures. You got to bring pictures next time. You got to show me everything that happened. Tell me everything that happened so that I could live through them." And it was amazing. I got to hear about so many different things. And so when I finally got to go to Europe, I already knew what I wanted to look for, what I wanted to look out for. And it was just amazing. I just love, and, hearing about their families, hearing about what's going on, anything, anything that they brought to the table. And there's, all different walks of life that I would come in contact with, young, old. You always have a certain type of demographic, people that really follow you, but then there's always little bits and pieces. Like I did a lot of millennials. And I was older. I was an older hairdresser. They'd call me their hair lady. They loved it. They'd be like, "Oh, there's my hair lady. Hi." They'd see me in town or whatever.
That
I'm
is
like,
so
"Hey."
cool.
Yeah.
Tell me, Cindy, I've heard and tell me how this is true for you that people that work in a salon, hairstylists, they can be some of the best coaches in the world.
Oh, yes.
How's that?
Oh,
How
yeah.
does that happen? How does that work?
Well, I'll tell you a little story about what happened one time. I had this couple that used to come in all the time, and they always had their child with them, and their child was a bit needy. I'm not sure uh, if the child was special needs. I can't remember, but functional. But they always had their child with them, and the child was older, an older, like a young adult. And one day they came in, and the wife, she says to me, she goes, "Oh no, I just, my marriage, I don't want him to hear what I'm saying, but there's just so many things going on." I go, "Why you guys always look so happy?" She goes, "But we're not. We never get to spend any time together. And, I'm losing everything that I thought a marriage would be. And, we always have our child with them." And I said, "You know what?" I go, "You know, it'd be really healthy for you. You need to find somebody to watch your child. You guys need to plan something. Just go to the coast. Just go over to Fort Bragg. Just go, have some dinner. Just spend the weekend, 2 solid days with each other. And, you might find that you need to do that at least once a month. Have a date night or a date weekend because you can't continue like this and expect your, relationship." And here I am. I was divorced, all this stuff, but here I'm giving her advice, right? They came in the next month for their hair things, and she pulls me off to the side and she goes, "Thank you so much for your advice. We had a wonderful time over at the coast, and we've decided to do this once a month." And I'm like, "Oh my God, they listen to me." What? That's crazy. That is
How did you
crazy.
feel?
I I was just like, wow. You know, I am just giving advice from what I have heard, other therapists say, or, people that have come in and told me their woes. And I was just giving that advice and it worked. They were so happy. And yeah.
How did, and we'll talk about morphing that over to social media in just a minute, but my one further question on the beauty styling business is, what was your takeaway in your own personal growth from being with all those people?
Oh, well, I think my biggest takeaway was after I retired was that I should have taken better care of myself. And that didn't come about until I retired because while I was in it, while I was in the throes of it, I wasn't telling that to myself. And I went through a lot of, health issues, mostly skeletal. I have
Hmm.
problems with my hips and, I've got bursitis from all the blow dries and shampoos and all that stuff. So you really need to take care of yourself because if you're not well to take care of other people, it's hard to take on all of their stuff. And energy, all that energy, it does compound and yeah, it's a lot. So we should have taken better care of myself. But shoulda, woulda, coulda. You can always start now.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, that's a huge lesson, though. I mean, I hear that from so many people that come on and be interviewed is learning to be true to myself, be loyal to myself, not include myself in my own life, and as I'm helping other people, making sure I have the balance there, I guess is what they're saying.
Right. And
Yeah.
it's hard to have balance because sometimes I think about balance is kind of BS. It really is because you can't if you're helping people, you really have to give a lot to that. And yeah, balance could be more like this and maybe not quite like this. So that could still be balanced. So I think some people think that it has to be equal. It can't be equal. If you're in that type of service business, you always have to give a little bit more than what you think you do. Uh, people, I mean, it's required to be in a service business. If that doesn't suit you, then you shouldn't be in that business.
Well,
And even with social media, oh, I'm sorry.
no, go ahead, go ahead.
Even with social media, it's kind of the same way. You still have to build the relationship. You have to build that. They call it the know, like, and trust. Everybody has heard that, right? The know, like, and trust factor. But it's the same way. If you go into a party or a meeting, or like, say, for instance, I was a member of the Chamber of Commerce. And so a lot of times people would move into town, they'd have new businesses and they'd come into the Chamber of Commerce meeting and they'd introduce themselves and whatnot. Um, if they didn't, if they just sat there, how am I going to know who they are or what they do or whatever? So it's the same way with social media. You got to get out there, you got to introduce yourself, you got to, rise above the noise because there's a lot of noise out there.
Yeah.
A lot of
So,
people out there.
well, what I hear you saying is that it goes back to what you were talking about at the very beginning about people. There's that energy that comes back to you from your engagement in those relationships, which actually is taking care of yourself because you're uplifting yourself as you're helping other people. So I think it's just not being so focused and so selfishly selfish inside, you forget that what you really are about is all those great people you care about out there.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I feel this is the way I feel about it too. The more that I am out there and in the public eye, the more people I meet and I get to bring that energy back into my life. So not like I'm trying to be all narcissistic and everything and like, hey, look at me. No, I want I want those people to be attracted to me because, okay, so my hair's different, I'm a little animated, but those are the people I want to attract because I want that energy. I need it. And so there are some people that are going to be like, oh, I don't. She's a little too much for me. It's right, not for everybody, but I want the people that I am for to be in my world.
So talk a little bit about taking all that energy of the salon and now you've journeyed over to the social marketing. A piece of that was the relationships. That's the same and
Yes.
similar. What else is similar about your journey and what you do now?
I think one of the biggest things is learning, and you have to keep that mind sharp. I'll tell you, if you don't, because this is what happened. COVID happened. That was number one. That sat me down in front of the computer because I have way too much energy to sit around eating bonbons and watching TV. I can't do it. I don't even have cable. So I just can't do it. I just, it's not in my nature. So I was like, what am I going to do? Oh my gosh. Well, I could barely turn on a computer at that point. Yeah, I knew where the on switch was, but how do I, okay, yeah, a little bit on Facebook, what am I going to do? So I reached out to a coach that I saw popping up all over the place, and I thought, oh, well, she's going to teach you how to do, okay, I was in network marketing. She's going to teach me how to do that without like spamming people because I don't want to make people mad. I want them to like me and want to buy what I have. So I jump in with her and she started saying things like, well, what do you like to do? What could you go on stage and talk about for 20 minutes without a script? I'm like, well, hair. I can talk about that. So I jumped in, I built this Facebook group and it was all about hair and stuff. But what I figured out was that a lot of hairdressers don't really want to spend a lot of money. So I had trouble monetizing it. What I think about now is I probably had trouble marketing it, not monetizing it. So that was my number one. Oh my gosh, what did I do? Well, what I started learning was that I really like to create. So I got into graphic design and I got into, learning how to make Facebook banners and doing all this stuff. And finally, one day, somebody came up to me and they said, we have this business and we have no presence on social media. We'll pay you to help us have a presence on social media because we see you all the time. I'm like, you're going to pay me? Okay. Thinking, whoa, this might be something. So that's when Strong Social Media Solutions was born because I decided that I was going to create a solution for people that didn't know what I didn't know in the beginning. And so that's how it all started. So I have people following now that are, higher up in the tech and people that are just starting out. So there's anybody from all over the spectrum of social media marketing. And I know that a lot of people out there, even in their second layer of life, they're trying to get into network marketing and they have no clue. If they're boomers, which I'm a boomer, if they're boomers, it's weird because we weren't born with technology like the kids are today. My grandson is a gamer. I mean, that's all he does is, well, he has a regular job, but that's all he does is, that's his pastime. He loves it. And he's got the brain. So I have a technical issue and I'm like, can you help me out here? But on the other spectrum, if he had to make a graphic, it would be, that would be my job, you know. So a little bit more into the design. And of course, I think what helped me was being in the color and the hair world and the design world. Because doing hair is the same thing. It's design. That's what it is.
Yeah,
So
yeah. So you touched on one of the reasons, but also one of the key points about any kind of marketing, really, but especially in social media, is building those
oops.
relationships, right? Building relationships.
Yes.
What's another? What would you say that just in general, because that's why people want to come to you is to find out specifics. What in general are those top other two things to think about when people begin to get into the idea of communicating in social media?
I think uh if you have people are in business, so they have to figure out who it is, who their audience is going to be. That is one of the number one hardest things for people to figure out. They get too broad. And if you know anything about sales, if you try to sell to everyone, you will sell to no one. It just happens that way. Because okay, say for instance you're in skincare and you could be like, well, I want to market to everybody because everybody has skin. Let's probably not a good idea. Yes, everybody has skin. but not everybody is interested in what you have or interested in their skin because there's people out there that I could care less. Wash my face with, ivory. I don't care. So that is not your target market, obviously. Finding who you need to market to, who your they call it tribe is one of the hardest things to do. So I did a lot of research, and now with the help of ChatGPT, everybody knows what that is. Just ask questions. That's what I do. I ask Chat all the time. What do you think? Who do you think I could target for XYZ? Because I work with clients. And so I'll say, I have this client that has this kind of business. What do you think would be a really good uh, post idea for this week? ChatGPT will give me a bunch, and I'll be like, that doesn't really go with what she's about. She is XYZ. She comes from the South, and she likes to cook, and you know, uh, she's a she's a family person. She stays home and takes care of the grandchildren. So then ChatGPT will come up with, and I'm like, whoa, some of those are brilliant. Well, let's expand on this. And let me tell you, that's the research I used to do. I used to have to Google it before ChatGPT. It would take me hours of reading because I would do this for clients,
Right,
And
right.
now it's super easy and anybody can do it. All you got to do is just keep asking, what do I do for this? What do I do for that? Who's my target audience?
Well, and that's very beautiful because there's so many coaches out there that are how to find your target audience, how to market yourself, how to do this, how to do this, but just really describing someone as they are. Their grandmother, they're this, they're that, that rather than trying to define that avatar as a with a label. Here's what they do. Here's how they live. That's a really excellent point. I mean I personally learned something there about that in terms of how to approach that. So as we wrap up, thank you for that, Cindy. As we wrap up here, Cindy, I usually ask this question of everybody because it's such a beautiful way of looking at things. What would you say as the Cindy now to the Cindy of 25 years ago, knowing what you know now?
Knowing what I know now, I would say keep more money in your pocket and quit spending so much.
Build it up, right?
Exactly. I mean, I made a lot of money doing hair, a lot. I have to say, kind of embarrassing. I probably made more than some of the doctors in town,
Sure, sure.
um, doing hair. They would never think that.
Well, that's medicine, though, right?
Yeah, they would
Taking
never
care,
think that
right?
I made more than them. But
Yeah,
I'll tell
wow,
you what, yeah, I tell you
that's
what, I made
beautiful.
really good money. So, um, but I should have kept more of it and quit spending it. So that's what I would have told my 25-year-old self is like start
That's,
socking it away.
that's
And
down practical down to okay. So, what would the 25-year-old say about the Cindy of today? If Cindy 25 at 25 was telling somebody about this person, Cindy Strong, what would the 25-year-old be saying?
well, at 25, I had no fear, and I'll tell you what, that it was the confidence of youth. I thought I was the bomb, you know? And as life goes on, it knocks you down. It does, it's just that school of hard knocks. It's getting knocked down. It's hearing what people say about you. It's, all that trashy talk that's in your head. At 25, that didn't bother me. That it didn't even come across as something that I should worry about because I'd be like, what? But, at this age now, it's hard. It's hard to overcome. Somebody says something to you and it's like, oh, maybe they're right. Well, maybe, no, my 25-year-old self would be like, BS. You just keep on going, sister, because you got it.
That's what she'd say
Yeah.
to you today, right?
Yep. That's what she would say to me today.
You
Yeah, because
got it.
I can look in pictures when I was 25. I could look at my picture. And I didn't have the fears. It's kind of like when you're riding a bike when you're young and you fall down, big deal. When you're riding a bike when you're older and you think you're gonna fall down, it's like, whoa, it's the same thing.
No fear.
No fear
No,
when you're young. You just don't have fear.
And that translates into actually working with people, right? Because if they if they feel that, then they're gonna express that.
Yep, absolutely.
Oh no,
I try to wake up every single day, and I tell everybody this. I try to wake up every
right.
single day, and I say to myself, "Today's going to be a great day." I don't care what happened yesterday. I don't care how bad yesterday was. If there, was anything that happened, I wake up in the morning and I say that every single morning,
That's
and
beautiful.
it
How can we get
works.
in touch with you, Cindy? How can people reach
Well,
out to you?
you can definitely find me on Facebook. I am always, you can DM me, you can friend me. I always accept people as friends, and I love it. I love it. So get a hold of me on Facebook. I do have a website. It's www.cindystrongonline.com, but you can't really talk to me through the website. So DM me, friend me, hang
Beautiful.
out. I have a Facebook group called Tech Talk for Entrepreneurs too, and it's a free group. You guys can hop in, and I go on live in fact, I have a Tech Talk Tuesday is today. I have one in an hour, and yeah, you
Tech Talk
check
with
it out.
Cindy. Well, I'm getting ready to graduate from elementary school in tech, so I might be very interested in that.
Absolutely.
Gotta get it in middle school here. Cindy, thank you so much for being a part of Empowered Soul Network today. It's wonderful. Stick around when we get done. Make sure you put that information in the comments, and we really appreciate you. There's some beautiful, very down to earth, practical, feet on the ground insights. So make sure you
Thank
guys
you, sir.
pass this forward. Empowered Soul Network, thank you so much for being here. We'll see you tomorrow.